What does it mean to be a man? The only question worth asking until a boy becomes one. At least that's the way I've come to appreciate boyhood. A 25 to 30 year research experiment into what it means to be a man and how to become one. Boyhood for me felt ordinary. Raised in New York City suburbs, 7 miles from downtown Manhattan. Middle class, mixed race family. Athletics and academics were pretty much the only thing I cared about. I didn't know what it meant to be a man. I just knew that I wanted to be one someday. I watched my father, my grandfathers, my uncles, and my friends' dads trying to figure out this manhood thing, starting with my paternal grandfather, Minoru Azuma. He immigrated to the US from Japan when he was 2 years old, started a new life here with his mom. He taught me generosity, kindness, and kingliness before I even knew what that was. But he passed away suddenly when I was 5 years old. Instead, my father became my pinnacle of masculinity and manliness, the embodiment of stoicism and loyalty. I learned from him that being a man meant taking care of your family, honoring commitments, working hard and never complaining or showing emotion. I had plenty of challenges growing up, nearly losing my mom to breast cancer, suffering a serious back injury at age 12. And I know there are many boys out there who experience far greater hardships at a younger age than I did. But what I've come to realize is that it's not the magnitude of what we go through as we grow up. It's how we engage with the challenges. And at 16 years old, I was about to be hit with one that I never saw coming. I was in my first serious relationship when I was 16. I made my girlfriend the center of my world, unknowingly setting myself up for a major breakdown. And one day we had an argument. I can't even remember what it was about. I was infuriated. Quickly, I spun into a fit of rage that I'd never experienced before. I was crying and roaring simultaneously. And after literally punching a hole in my wall, I stormed down the stairs of my house. And I'll never forget the look in my parents' eyes. My mom was scared. My dad was clueless. Calm down was all they could muster. But for me, that wasn't enough. The look on my parents' faces said it all. And it left a lasting impression with me that my emotions are not safe, that they hurt the people I love. After that experience, I became afraid of my power. I believed that if I suppressed my anger, my frustration, and my fears, then there was no way I would ever hurt anyone again. Nobody was talking about anger or rage back then. The kids that let their anger out became the bad kids. Was I any different from the bad kids? Last thing I wanted was to become the troubled one. I looked for men to surround myself with who could relate, but had a hard time finding them. It wasn't until I got to college that I finally found the brothers I've been looking for. Phil Gomez and Emiliano Acevedo quickly became my closest bros. Bonded by our idealism and sense of adventure, we set out to become our best selves. I was relieved to have men in my life who I could relate to, who seemed to share the same values and big picture perspective that I did. I wanted to save the planet. I imagined becoming a doctor, graduating and opening free health clinics around the world. But after traveling to several third world countries, having my hopes and dreams shot down by my guidance counselors, I felt defeated. So I did what ordinary youngsters do when they see no way through. I began to numb myself. Tobacco and marijuana were my sedatives of choice. Mixed in with a few fast-burning romances and wild adventures, suddenly, I didn't care about the world so much. With all the access we have nowadays to news, to images, and information about the state of our planet, our climate, and our communities, it's no wonder why boys and girls around the world are taking drugs, having sex, committing suicide and violent crimes at astronomical rates. Perhaps every one of us has to have a low point, a wake-up moment that shakes us from our coherence and rattles our rhythms enough to inspire change. Mine came on the night of my older brother's wedding. After celebrating, I made one last stop on my way home. Sharing a joint with a friend of mine, we were stopped by a plainclothes police officer as we finished our smoke. And just like that, I went from the streets to a holding cell. Needless to say, I was scared. But beyond scared, I was stunned. How did I get here? What choices had I made that landed me in this cell? And what would I do next? How do I even handle being arrested? Have you ever had that moment in your life that seems just too scripted to be real? That unexpected twist in the plot worthy of an Academy Award? Being arrested and flushed through the New York City court system was definitely mine. Talk about woke up. I realized that the city was done with me. And frankly, I was done with it. It was time to move on. One-way ticket to San Francisco. That was it. No other plans. Just me, my backpack, and my African djembe. Every mile marker on that journey, which lasted 4 months, has its own story. ripe with lessons and revelations. But one of the most pivotal moments came when I was invited to attend a men's team meeting. You see, I'd been circling up with my brothers back in NYC since the college days, back when we had no idea what we were doing and it was the blind leading the blind. So arriving at a real men's team meeting with seasoned men who lived twice the life that I had left me stunned. I'd never seen men square off with each other, then hug each other in tears a few minutes later. This is a whole new world for me. Simultaneously, I was also introduced to the founders of Condor Clan, a vision fasting community here in Southern California. I'd heard about Vision Quest and fasting in the wilderness as an initiation previously, but it always seemed like a distant and perhaps ancient practice, one that I never imagined having access to. Yet, here I was. Suddenly and without knowing it, the two greatest medicines of my life were coming together only 4 months removed from the darkest period of my life. 1 year prior, I was sitting in that holding cell, wondering where my life was going and how I got there. But now, I was asking myself, how did I get here? What was the magic ingredient? What was the shift that got me back on track? My only explanation was a gut feeling. Something within me was literally and figuratively moving me west. In the Native American traditions, the western gate of the medicine wheel is where a child crosses into adulthood, preparing to step into the responsibilities of taking care of a partner, a family, and a village. I just never thought they were all waiting for me 3,000 miles away from where I was born. I never would have guessed that I'd marry a California queen, raise 2 little bear cubs in Southern California, and lead men on rites of passage journeys to help them become more clear, confident, and capable leaders for their people. And then, in August of 2017, a 5-minute call with Preston Smiles changed my life and cemented my choice to bring traditional rites of passage and men's work together. While serving as a support coach in Mancave, I had the inspiration to bring the conversation about manhood and masculinity to more men. I decided to start with the question I've been asking myself all along. What does it mean to be a man? I figured that if I was questioning whether or not I was a man, whether or not I was good enough or deserving of love, then surely other men were asking themselves the same thing. And now, 2 short years later, we are rewriting the culture of manhood and masculinity as I speak. I'm a husband, a father, a mentor, initiation guide. Just a few short decades removed from the boy who survived by hiding in the crowd. The boy who wanted to make a difference in the world, just didn't know how to yet. The young man who fought his way through addiction, emotional dependency, and escapism to create something meaningful, something impactful and fulfilling. What does it mean to be a man? For me, it's answering this question and defining manhood for oneself. Anyone who calls himself a man has the right to choose who and how he will be in this world. Just as in nature, we become stronger with diversity, more balanced, more informed, more colorful. So now that I've answered that question, there's only one thing left to do.